Hello and welcome to the Business Networking Channel hosted by the Hispano Chamber of Commerce. I'm Toby Rue and we're glad that you come to join us tonight to talk about some of the great things that are happening in Las Cruces. Today we are going to continue with our theme with education, and we have on tap today some of the most influential women I think in all of Chicago, and they have moved down to Las Cruces to show us what it is to volunteer and provide the education that our community needs. Also with me today is my co-host, newly appointed Executive Director, Mr. Gabe Vasquez, who's going to be here today. And in just a few minutes, Gabe is going to talk to us about the Hispano Chamber. I want to take this moment again to thank you, our members and our viewers out there, for making the Hispano Chamber's Business Networking Channel a great place to be for business, nonprofit, and just to talk about what you have to sell or do in Las Cruces. We continue to grow in our market share here in Las Cruces, and we have more and more people telling us that it's a great venue for the local access, for local business, for local leadership. So from the Business Networking Channel and the Hispano Chamber of Commerce, we want to thank you again for this great opportunity you've given us. So Gabe, you've been on the Executive Director now for a couple of months, and you are now leading our organization. Tell us a little bit what the community has in store from the Hispano Chamber.
Sure, Toby, and thank you. You always do such a great job with the show, and on behalf of the Chamber, myself and our Board of Directors, we want to thank you, not for your service to the Chamber, but for also continuing to put the show on and help us organize it. It's a great deal of work that goes into it, and a lot of folks don't know that, so thank you, Toby.
Oh, you're welcome.
Just mention to you folks a couple of the upcoming events that we have. This Thursday, we'll be having an ambassador meet and greet. A lot of folks aren't familiar with the concept of chamber ambassadors, but basically what they do is represent the goodwill of the chamber to the community. So they attend our ribbon cuttings and do different things of that nature. And so we're actually going to get together with the Alamogordo ambassadors, as well as our own ambassador group, which is Los Amigos. We'll be getting together at the game to talk about best practices amongst the groups together. And then also make sure not to miss the NAFTA Trade Institute, which takes place June 16th, and that's this Thursday. It's a great opportunity for businesses to get involved with international trade, import, export, that type of opportunity exists, and Hispano Chamber members get a discounted rate. So if you're interested, call our office, 532-9255, and we'll hook you up with a discounted rate to see what's going on. It's the biggest border trade conference in the United States.
Well, one of the things I want to make sure our members understand with that is we're having a lot of movement and influence here on the border with the new railroad station being built, the maquiladoras, and a lot of the trade that we have within El Paso and that area. So a lot of people who are outside of New Mexico, they still see some of the media attention of what's happening in Juarez and the dangers of the border.
Sure.
This is a great opportunity, Gabe, for them to show up and see how commerce is being done on the border.
You're completely right, Toby. This is a positive thing to showcase here on the border, positive thing that's coming from our neighbors in Ciudad Juarez, and something that we definitely want to highlight. I really think Ciudad Juarez is the economic engine for a lot of West Texas and southern New Mexico, so it's great to see the opportunities that exist there for business-to-business type of undertaking. So we're very proud to be partners with the International Business Accelerator in helping drive people to that event. We also have a farm-to-table dinner that's coming up next Tuesday, June 21st. And basically, this is a new event that we're putting on, and we're asking our membership, and in fact, we're actually sold out, but we're hoping to put on another event soon in conjunction with the Green Chamber of Commerce, who we're partnering with on a couple of different initiatives. Bring out the local growers, the local producers, and have them showcase a locally grown and produced meal. Everything from the vegetables that our guests will be eating to the grass-raised cattle as well from Maynard Beef Company, comes from right here in Doña Ana County.
And so one of our partners is holding this, De La Vegas.
That's correct. De La Vegas Pecan Grill and Brewery is going to be the host for the event, and their executive chef will actually have a lot of fun getting the ingredients together and putting some wonderful dishes together. We call it Dinner in a Movie because we'll also be showing Wild Waters, which is a film that will be presented by NMSU's Outdoor Adventure Series, which we've sponsored throughout the year, and this is the last showing that we'll get to see from them until they restart the series again later this year. So very happy to have those events coming up. If anybody would like any more information about upcoming chamber events or would like to know more about attending a future event, please call us again at 532-9255.
Gabe, I have to tell you, since you've taken on the leadership, the chamber seems to be on a true north direction, and I really appreciate what you do from there. And to our members out there, I want you to understand that the Hispano Chamber has multiple opportunities. So if you have an idea, if you have an opportunity you think can not only influence your business, but be passed on to someone else, go ahead and take care of that. Call Gabe, and we'll take care of this. And next thing you know, you'll be a part of one of our great organizations, or community members and community, what do we call those? The chairs, the golf committee. All the different committees. Gabe has plenty of places for you to go.
There's definitely plenty of opportunity to volunteer, and whenever we're organizing these types of events or asking for some public support, our members, of course, are always invited to volunteer, but the public at large, folks that care about what we do in the community, because we're more than just a business development organization. We also do a lot of grassroots community service, so we appreciate the support we get from our members and from our non-members as well.
And we got our new website up, and you'll see all that information. You always do every time we have a show. Gabe, thank you so much for bringing us an update. And you know, I like to see you come back on to the show and do more updates, because you just have a great way of connecting on the camera and to our friends and our community members out there. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Toby. I appreciate that. I'm a little bit new to this, but that's okay. And we'll actually be, I think I'll be hosting with you for the next month or so while our president of the chamber is out. So
yeah,
you guys will be seeing me for at least another
right now.
month.
John's in Spain, and he's touring Europe, and he's going to go to Italy. He's taking a much-needed vacation, and so Sitel is still thriving with their leader out on vacation. They're looking for hirees. If you're looking for a job, come by and see John and his HR coordinator at Sitel. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the Hispano Chamber of Commerce. As again, you can see, we are really on fire when it comes to the month of June, and we're continuing to move forward. But let's move forward to some very important business here. This is our guest today is the Literacy Volunteers of Dona County. And again, in the theme of education, we have two very powerful women who are no stranger to the corporate world, and they have opened their hearts and opened their talents to move into the next phase of their life, into the volunteer world. And you know, volunteerism is not only something that you do, but it's something you believe in. And today we have the Advisory Council Chair, Sheila McCaskill, and the Treasurer of the Advisory Board, Jackie Kiefer. Sheila and Jackie, you ladies, thank you so much for being a part of our show.
Thank you so much
Thank you for
asking
having
us,
us.
Toby. We appreciate it.
Now, as I mentioned earlier in the show, that you are from the big city, the Chicago area, and we always like to know what was the transition to get you into southern New Mexico. And Sheila, when we were talking off camera, you said you just wanted to reinvent yourself. Can you give us a little perspective of what that means for you?
Well, I have been bouncing around corporate America for a number of years, and I had an opportunity to seek something else. And I decided that I wanted to see what it was like in a smaller community, having been born and raised in Chicago. So I wanted to find out what it would be like for me to live in this type of environment. Well, immediately I fell in love with it. I have no intentions of ever moving back to Chicago, so this is home for me now.
Oh, it's home.
And I am having a great time.
And the mountains just make it a little bit more.
Yes, we don't have the lake, but we do have the mountains.
And Jackie, I'll ask you the same question. What was the turning point for you to get to New Mexico? Well, you're actually a native New Mexican.
I'm a native New Mexican. I was born in Albuquerque, and I met my husband at New Mexico State University.
An Aggie?
Yes, he was from the suburbs of Chicago, and of course we moved back there. And after he passed away, I decided I'm not going to stay here and shovel snow. I'm going back home. But where my love of teaching adults came about was when I was an administrator of a clinic. We started, and this was in about 2001, we started to see a huge influx of Hispanic patients, and we didn't have any physicians or nurses that could communicate with them. So I hired a Cuban internist and a Mexican gastroenterologist, and I started to give Spanish lessons to the nurses and doctors at lunchtime. You know, just a little survival Spanish, basic words. I created a calendar that was in English and Spanish. So
a teacher at heart.
Yes, and I didn't know I was a teacher. So the local community college got wind of that, And they called me and asked me if I would teach for them. And I said, I don't have a teaching credential. And they said, doesn't matter. Come and do it for us. I said, I can't. You know, I work 10 hours a day. Oh, please, just give it a shot. So I did, and I fell in love with adult education. So I left healthcare. I went back to school, got a master's degree in adult education, and I teach at Dona Community College in the Adult Basic Education Division, and I'm also part of the Literacy Volunteers organization.
You know, having such an enriched background, I think it only can bring tribute to the passion that comes out of these type of educational foundations. You know, we recently had shows on the Dyslexia Institute, and that organization was driven by a passionate woman who wanted to help students and young children who had that disability of dyslexia, where they transpose some of the letters and numbers. And we also had one of our local school board members and a state senator, Fishman, come in and talk to us about a new reading foundation program that targeted newborn children that came from single mothers or growth families that were in there and teaching them to influence them to read at an early age. And we also had a group called Avance, which was a parental education program where they had some at-risk families and stuff, and they wanted just to teach them parental skills to come in. And I think it's so timely to have both of you ladies come in and talk about an area that I feel has been underrepresented. And Gabe, you know, when you talk about the education and you're looking from the business community, that economic development, economic growth comes from having a workforce that's well prepared. And so for our audience, I want to bring you right into the nuts and bolts of what the Literacy Volunteers of Dona County does. This is a nonprofit organization that seeks to promote and establish adult literacy. And they have tutors that come in, and as you said, Jackie, you don't have to have a lot of background, just come in and work. So we're going to fold up our sleeves and get right into the middle of this volunteer work. And Gabe, I just wanted to ask you, how do you see this progress? I mean, do you think they really have a chance to making this? I read 25% of adult people are having a literacy concern or issue.
Well, it's interesting you asked that, Toby, because typically when you're dealing with literacy issues, you do deal with more of the youth. You deal with kids that are transitioning either from high school into college or from college into the workforce, and it's usually when people realize that there's a lack of literacy skills that they realize there's a problem or a need for remedial assistance. And as you know, that costs our education system a lot of resources, a lot of dollars. But what people don't realize is that a lot of these same students and same children who graduate and don't get the remedial help eventually fall into some of the same problems that the younger students have. And so, you know, as an adult, it can be a little bit harder to approach the situation. Maybe when you're a student, your parents guide you to it, your counselors, your teachers. But when you're an adult, it really takes having to pull up yourself up from your bootstraps and saying, this is something that I really need.
Well, let's turn it over to the professionals. The professional volunteers. Sheila, would you come from a chair of the advisory board? Will you give us a foundational background of this organization, the structures, and of course chime in whenever you want, but let's give our audience, our members out there, truly an understanding of what you do.
Well, who we are associated, we are accredited and affiliated with Pro-Literacy America. And it was an organization that started back in the 60s because there was a need even then that there was some literacy issues within the country. So it's a national organization, and there are numerous literacy programs in states throughout the United States. Our funding comes from the New Mexico Coalition for Literacy. And we also have had a relationship with Dona Community College, the Adult Education Division, since 1986. Wow. So this has been this organization itself has been around for a number of years. Unfortunately, last year my favorite saying was that it was the best kept secret in Dona County because we weren't that very well known, because we were kind of hidden in the adult education program. But we are a 501c3 organization, and we decided that we wanted to be more visible within the organization. So the mission or the goal of our advisory council for the last couple of years have been to make us more visible in the area. And we've done that through the work of Jackie, who was our former public relations person. She did an outstanding